We're live from the finish line of the Ironman World Champs, and this is the GTN Show. And now it's the day after the Ironman World Champs, and we have Heather back after absolutely smashing it out there. How did you find it?
I would say it was more a matter of completing it, but I did get there. It was so hot, as you can probably tell from some of these awful tan lines.
Line.
Yeah,
You know?
it's not a good look, but I'm proudly wearing my medal today.
That's a big medal as well. All right, well, coming up on the show this week, we will obviously be covering the race here from the Big Island, and also the unfortunate news of some pro incidents.
And of course, we've got the usual, such as try, DIY and comment of the week.
Well, we should probably start with a bit of a recap on yesterday's race. After breaking the run course record, a 27-year-old course record last year, he went on to break the full course record this year. It was Germany's Patrick Lange in a time of 8 hours, 1 minute and 40 seconds.
Well, there were records broken on the bike as well. Australia's Cameron Worth broke the 11-year record by over 5 minutes with a time of 4 hours, 12 minutes and 54 seconds. And actually, Lionel Sanders and Sebastian Kienle went under that old record as well, so some quick times yesterday. Well, let's go into a little bit more detail as to what happened in the men's race.
Well, in the swim, it was Josh Amberger that absolutely smashed it. He had around a 1 minute 20 lead over the rest of the field coming out. Then we had a big pack, including the likes of Jan Frodeno, Niels Fromhold, Ben Hoffman, and even James Cunnama. And then around 6 minutes back from the lead swimmer, we had the Uber bikers. We had Boris Stein, Lionel Sanders, Sebastian Kienle. And out onto the bike, it didn't take long for those Uber bikers to catch that big pack. And then it was Lionel Sanders and Sebastian Kienle that went off the front with Cameron Worth. And Cameron Worth came into T2 in first, and about a minute back, it was Lionel Sanders, and closely followed by Sebastian Kienle and Jan Frodeno.
Well, obviously Worth was first out onto the run course, but that was short-lived. Sanders very quickly took the lead, Kienle close behind in second, but it was further down the pack that you had to watch for the run. So the course record holder, or the marathon course record holder, Patrick Lange, set off in 11th going into the run, and he was joined by David McNamee, both incredibly strong runners, and they started to work their way through the field. By the half marathon point, Patrick Lange had moved up to third, Sanders was still leading, and Kienle was in second, but he made his move at the 23-mile mark, and Patrick Lange went on to take the win for Germany. Sanders came home in second for Canada, and then it was third place for a strong run by David McNamee of Great Britain. Fourth, it was Sebastian Kienle of Germany, and fifth place, James Cunnama of South Africa. Well, we're delighted to be joined by James Cunnama, fifth place at the Ironman World Champs this year. Thanks for joining us, James. If you could possibly talk us through your race and the race from your perspective, would be brilliant.
Yeah, good day out for me. Obviously, fifth place in the World Champs, you can't complain. It was not exactly a smooth day for me at all. I struggled my way to fifth place. I think at this race everybody struggles no matter where you finish, from first to 30th or beyond. It is a really hard race, and it was no different for me. I really struggled. I had some really bad patches.
Say that though, but you'll swim.
Yeah, I'm very happy with my swim, especially considering I had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction. My swimsuit, I think someone must have got their fingers tangled in the cord and pulled it down. But about a kilometre in, I was swimming with it wide open and flapping. I kind of looked behind me to see how close to the back of the group I was, to see whether I had time to pull it up and get back on whoever's feet were at the back of the group. But no such luck. I was the back of the group. So yeah, that was made for a bit of a tougher swim. I was definitely working a few heartbeats higher than I would have otherwise with that drag, but still managed to stay on that pack and was very happy coming out of the water in that pack. I sat at the back of that group trying to find a rhythm. I had a bit of a knee niggle going into the week, so I was trying to let that loosen up and not push too hard. They also get the concertina effect on that group, where going up the hill they all slow to a crawl and you kind of jam in the back and have to risk in a drafting penalty, and then they go over the other side.
And you've got to catch up.
You've got to really surge to stay with them. So I kind of let that go. I let that yo-yo, and they pulled away, and then I caught them again on the next uphill, and just to try and keep my rhythm. Going up to Harvey, Sebastian Kienle and Lionel Sanders caught up to the group, and Cam Worth, and those three obviously went to the front, and the pace significantly increased. The last 30 Ks, of the bike, I had caught up to Jan Frodeno. He was sitting up a little bit and taking a bit of a break, I guess. I went to the front for a bit just to keep my rhythm even. Ben Hoffman looked like he was struggling on our group. Tim O'Donnell had just dropped off our group. So it was myself, Frodeno, Niels Fromholt, and Ben was hanging a little bit further back.
And out onto the run, I saw you with Ben Hoffman and Niels Fromholt, and they were hammering it. So what happened there?
Yeah, I started the run. My knee that I was talking about earlier and was niggling again when I started the run, and I was a little bit worried about it because I knew that if it went like it had previously, I would probably be walking and game over. It was pretty much an all or nothing kind of injury, you know. Kept a decent rhythm. Terenzo Bozzone called me in the energy lab, and I was going through a bit of a patch, as most people do in the energy lab, and he went past me, but I managed to stay with him as we came out, and then we ran together, had a bit of a dice all the way back to town. For a while we were dicing, then we were kind of working together, trying to hold off whoever was behind us until the last 3 or 4 Ks, and then just before that last hill,
each for themselves.
Yeah, then we without saying anything, we both knew right now we are racing each other again for a top 5 in the world. And I put a good surge in going up the last little hill to Kalani, and I was like shouting at the guys next to the road, going, "Where is he? Where is he? How far back is he?" You know, like, he's 200 meters. You've got it. Don't even worry about it. And I'm thinking, I got to run down Palani, and the last downhill I ran, my knee was right there. So I was a little bit worried that I would be hobbling down Palani. So I was putting as much time as possible. But yeah, crossed the line 90 seconds ahead of him in 5th place, and yeah, very, very happy with it.
Well, congratulations. Thanks very much for joining us, James. Cracking result as well.
And moving on to the women's race, it was Daniela Ryf who made history by joining the elite club, becoming one of those to have won Kona more than 2 times with her 3rd consecutive title. But it wasn't all about Daniela this time. Brit Lucy Charles, on her debut performance in Kona, led the swim out with Lauren Brandon, and they exited the swim with over a 3-minute lead, and those two worked together on the bike, leaving the rest of the pack with a lot of work to do. And then Daniela, who led that pack for most of the bike, made the move and ended up coming into transition just ahead.
And onto the run, it was obviously Daniela Ryf that was in the lead, but close behind we had Lucy Charles, and she actually did a great job of maintaining that gap for a long time. Daniela Ryf started to ramp the pace up towards the end to finish with a 9-minute gap over Lucy, but an incredible result for Lucy. First time in Kona, 2nd place, and very young as well. And in 3rd place, we had Sarah Crowley, who just raced through the field, with Heather Jackson also coming in 4th. And with the 2nd fastest run split of the day, it was Kaisa Sally who came in 5th. Well, now we know the real results from the men's race, but last week we asked you your predictions on who is going to win the Ironman World Champs in the men's race.
Well, from the options that we gave you, 4th place came Bart Ehnert, then it was Lionel Sanders in 3rd, Sebastian Keeney in 2nd, and the majority had their money on Jan Frodeno, as did we.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were all wrong. Patrick Lange surprised us all with a new course record of 8 hours and 1 minute. So I guess the question is 8 hours ever going to be broken at Kona for the Ironman World Champs? Well, let's put it out there. Yes or no? Put your option in the poll above Heather's head.
It's time for Try DIY, and I'm delighted to say we've got a special guest, king of Try DIY himself, Tyler Butterfield. Thanks for joining us, Tyler.
Thanks for having me, Heather.
We are interested to know your opinion on some of these Try DIYs that we've had sent in. So, Mark, start us off.
To start things off, we've got one here from Trevor Clark. I think he's maybe a man after your own heart here. What do you think to this?
Yeah, that is very impressive and looks actually way better than mine. That's very clean how he set it up. I like the refillable front bottle. I tried something similar on my P5X when I used the 2-bottle system, but here in Kona I do just the standard bottles because of what they give us. And again, these elastics are to hold the bottles like this that aren't, or the Gatorade bottles they give us in the race. But that is very impressive.
Cool. Well, you might recognize this one, Tyler.
That's shocking.
Well, this is Tyler's own bike from yesterday from the Ironman World Champs. You like your Gorilla Tape, hey?
I love my Gorilla Tape. I normally use electrical tape on there, but I've started to like the gorilla
So
tape more.
what's your idea behind this? What are you trying to do?
So I take 14 gels with me, one every 25 minutes, and that's probably why I had stomach issues on the run. I didn't use them all. There was a couple left in the little bento box. But yeah, it's done well before. It's got me a 7th and a 5th, so I just stick with what works.
So you're just trying to make it super aerodynamic, right? You're just trying to keep it all tucked in and...
Yes,
Yeah.
My hands cover that.
Yeah,
The
okay.
hands are what make it aerodynamic.
Yeah.
There's nothing aero about that. If you put that in the wind tunnel with no rider, that is shocking. I also like all my nutrition straight in front of me. You do forget sometimes how many you've had. We don't have a little headphone or a car where the director can say, feed every sort of 25 minutes. You have to pay attention to that or else it comes back to bite you.
And one thing I did like is how you've attached your pit stop behind the saddle, which you can see just here.
Yep.
So that's actually something I've always struggled with when you're trying to
Yeah.
find space for it. People pop it here, which probably isn't the most aerodynamic place. And
Not when you're spending that much on a bike and wheels. I always put it under there. It's easy to get to. I have a little, if you can see that, you do the tape, but that is my undo tape. You need
Right.
you need an exit, and then you bend it and pull it out.
there is some method to it.
But you leave a little bit of a flap as your go-to. I actually had my GPS. The pros had a GPS that I took off at the end of the bike when I had a mile.
So you had it at the back of the saddle,
of the
right?
top
Because
of
you're
your-
going to be fairly, like,
very far forward.
Yeah, interesting.
And it actually, I ripped it off and put it in my pocket with only a mile left because I didn't want it pushing on me the whole day.
Cool.
Because our suits are quite tight. Again, it looked terrible, but if you look at the photos of me
But yeah,
riding,
you're
you can see
blocking
a
that
little
anyway,
Yeah.
so-
I should learn from you on that one, Tyler, because in Chattanooga, I had the same GPS and I typed it to my seat post, which you wouldn't have been impressed with because it just made my seat post wider.
You were saying that because
Yeah.
in Chattanooga, you were like, it's pretty big. It's like a cell
Cable
phone.
tied it on,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, you want to put it there.
Yeah.
Not anywhere where the wind can hit.
Nice
Okay.
one. Well, finally, we have one here from Mykola Bartosz, and these are impressive. This is 3D custom printed risers for their aero bars. What do you think of those?
That
Tyler?
is awesome, and I'll try and get your name right. Mykola.
Mykola bar.
Makala, I would
Bar.
love you to 3D print something for me. 3D printing sounds awesome. I made stuff with carbon when I was a kid, but instead of the gaffer tape here, we keep making jokes that my fairing is by gaffer tape because I've custom used different brakes that come with the bike. A 3D printer would solve my gaffer tape problem, but we were making jokes that they might come on and sponsor me, and I don't even have to print it on my suit. I'm just gonna stick it on for the bike and the run.
Well, that is some next level try DIY for sure.
Well, thank you so much for that, Tyler. And if you guys have some more Try DIY you want to send it our way, just use the hashtag TryDIY on Facebook and on Twitter.
Now for the triathlon news, and we're going to start with some slightly sad and unfortunate news. A couple of days before the Ironman World Champs, we heard that Tim Don had been knocked off his bike by a car, fracturing his C2 vertebrae, putting him out of the race, which he was in great shape for, but more importantly, we just hope that he is recovering well.
Yeah, we do. And there was also sad news throughout the men's pro race when Matt Russell got knocked off his bike by a car. We've not heard the update on his condition, but we are sending best wishes to both him and Tim for a speedy recovery. Well, last week on the show, we mentioned how recently retired cyclist Andrew Talansky has made the switch from pro cycling into triathlon. He's been out here in Kona to see what it's all about, but he's been pretty busy because he has just signed a deal with Canyon. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes next year.
I can't wait. Every year, a sea of athletes come out to Kona for the Ironman World Champs, and a lot of those use the local 25-metre swimming pool, which over the years has started to deteriorate a little. They've got to pay for the upkeep and the running costs. So Sebastian Kienle decided he wanted to set up a charity to raise money for that pool. And not just that, he decided if he came first, he would donate, well, he would match that donation value himself from his prize money. If he came second, 50% of that. If he came third, 33%, and anywhere else, he would donate 25% of that. And he came fourth, unfortunately, but that's still 25% of that overall total.
It's time for caption competition, and last week we had a picture of me on Michelle Vesterby's tan bike, and our favourite comment of the week comes from James Burry on Facebook, who says, "Trust me, All of this integrated aero storage nowadays is just a silly trend. Baskets are where my nutrition's at.
Well, this week, Heather, I picked out a photo of you stroking some tarmac.
Oh, Mark, you didn't see how smooth it was. I couldn't help myself.
Well, please leave your captions in the comments below.
And James, do send us your contact details so you can get your free GTN swim cap. Well, that's it for the GTN show out here in Kona, and what an incredible experience it's been.
And congratulations to everyone that took part in the Ironman World Champs, including you, Heather.
Thanks, Mark.
We were actually out on the finish line at midnight to see those final finishers coming in, so here's a little piece for you there. Well, to see more videos from us, just click on the globe to subscribe to GTN. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And to see some tech from Kona, just click down here.
And if you want to watch one of my vlogs, click here.